Hi everybody, thanks so much for checking out my channel. My name is Jeremiah Safola, and instead of a piano solo video this week, we're actually doing a special interview with Jenna Stansky, who designed the cover art for my brand new album, and that album is available today on iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, Amazon, anywhere you can stream from, we've got it. You can also click the link in the description to go to my website and purchase a physical CD, which I can send right from my house to your house. So make sure you definitely check all those links out. But for now, we're going to hear a little bit from Jenna about how she came up with the cover art design and what she was thinking, putting everything together, and just all the little stories behind it. So I know you'll definitely enjoy that. So over to you, Jenna.
Thanks, Jeremiah. So Commitment and Consecration was my first official, big project, you could call it. I've never made an album cover for anyone specifically before, and it was a lot of fun getting to work on this project with and for Jeremiah. We did a lot of talking back and forth because obviously he had some ideas with what he wanted for the album cover, and so I was just, we'll say, a conduit for his ideas and his artistry with the album cover. So yeah, the first picture that will be coming up on the screen is a picture of one of the original ideas that I had for the album cover. So the album is called Commitment and Consecration, and in the Bible, in the Old Testament, when you made a commitment, a covenant with God, in doing the process of that, you would split an animal in half and then take the halves of the animal to either side of an aisleway, and then walk through the aisleway, and that would be your commitment, your commitment, your consecration. So I wanted to take that into a more figurative meaning, instead of obviously a dead animal and a person. That wouldn't have made a very good album cover. So I translated the animal into high cliff rocks, and then obviously in the center there's the cross, representing God and the commitment you have there with him. And I did the first piece in all red tones because when you cut an animal open, there's blood, and we talk about the blood of Jesus and how by his blood we're saved. So blood's obviously a pretty important thing in the Bible, and so I just wanted to kind of show that importance in using different red tones for the piece. The next album cover, again, another Nixed album cover, is up on your screen. That's a little bit more of an earthy take on the first idea, with more literal rocks, and the sunlight shining through the rocks and everything. That idea was also not quite what Jeremiah was thinking, so we moved on, we sat down, we talked about it for a little bit, and one of the original ideas that I had, but wasn't really sure if it would be a good idea, would be the crown of thorns with a ring, because the first thing that I thought of when I heard commitment and consecration was obviously marriage. So talked to Jeremiah about that. He was like, hey, that's not a bad idea, but here's how we can make it better. And we ended up thinking of the crown of thorns either with a crown or a ring or some other circular banded object on some sort of background. So bringing up a time lapse of that for you, we have first my initial sketch of the item. So my goal with the project was to do it on one document and try multiple different styles, where maybe one was a crown with the crown of thorns and then a ring with a crown of thorns. So pulling up a time lapse with that, you can see the process begins by me just doing a simple sketch of, hey, here's the crown of thorns and here's the other circular object. I didn't know at the time that I was making my initial sketch what I would start out with, and then I decided when I sat down to work on the project initially that I was going to begin with just a simple crown. And so I jumped right in, started with the background, again keeping that red theme. I added the red background, then some texture because the red background just looked really flat, and I started creating just a simple cloth, shaded that up a bit, and then started getting to work on the crown and the thorns and the crown of thorns. and making that look really nice and special and good. And I added shading eventually and texture to make that really look super awesome, and a piece that would be very representative and textured and interesting to the eye. And then it got to a point where after I had done the jewel within the crown, I realized that the background color that I had, I didn't really like. It kind of clashed with the color of the jewel, and rather than change the color of the jewel, which I really didn't want to do, I decided to change the background of the entire piece to blue, because I just wanted to give a different feel for a different color. And then when I sent both the red version and the blue version off to Jeremiah, I was like, hey, here's just a couple versions of the piece, and the background is obviously changeable. Here's like a red and here's a blue. We could also do other colors. What do you think? And he shot back to me, I really like it, but could we go with a really dark red, like a crimson red? I was like, okay, sure. So I sent him a color swatch of the color that I chose really quickly, just to make sure, like, hey, this is the color you mean, right? And he was like, yeah, that's perfect. So I added texture again. I actually experimented with 2 different textures this time. Decided that I liked the original texture brush better, and then I sent that back to him, and he was like, this is absolutely perfect. And I think that was one of like the biggest adrenaline rushes I've ever had in my life, because before we decided and like settled on, hey, this is what we're doing 100%, like this is awesome and we like it and we're gonna use it, it was still very up in the air. So much so that, you know, while I was planning on making other versions of the Crown of Thorns / circular object cover, I decided to just send the first one that I finished and see what would happen. But I wasn't expecting for such awesome feedback so close to finishing. It was pretty much instantaneous when he was like, wow, I really like this. So it was just really exciting to know that we had decided on something that was awesome, and then that we were actually going forward and putting in the text and the other creative elements that would really make it awesome and fit into the design for the cover that Jeremiah wanted. So he told me, hey, if you have some text that you want to add in with your program, you know, I'm thinking, you know, here's the album cover, here's everything that you'd need to add in. So I was like, cool. I played around with that a little bit, couldn't really find anything that I liked, and he ended up sending me a version where he was like, hey, I really like this, but I can't figure out how to fit in the and of commitment and consecration in. So I took a look at it, I played around with it a little bit on my own device, and we figured out the final product from there with my little experimentation and fitting in the lettering everywhere. So a little while later, after I had sent Jeremiah all of the final finished product stuff, he came back to me and he was like, hey, guess what? I have this really cool program that lets me see what my 3D album cover is going to look like before it actually gets like to me in a physical copy. And so it was really cool to see like the culmination of all of the work put together. And oh, I forgot to add that while I was making the album cover and figuring out the designs for the album cover, I did listen through the album. So the music that he wrote in the album and for the album inspired the album cover. So everything kind of connects there. Yeah, but while I was looking at the CD 3D model, it was really cool. And B, Jeremiah told me that he wanted a piece for the inside of his album cover. So I was like, okay, cool, what are you thinking? And he was like, well, I actually made this really cool graphic, which you can find on the inside cover of his CDs if you go and buy a copy, which you totally should go and do. And it ended up being the first piece that I did. So the finished product with all of the fancy text and lettering looks a little bit like this. And I'm super happy and excited to share with you all my work and all of the hard work that Jeremiah has put into this album. He's so extremely and amazingly talented. You should really go check out his work, and it's been an honor working with him. He's been really fun to work with, and you should just go buy his album, please. Go buy his album, support him and his work. He is absolutely incredible, like I said. Also, stay tuned for his next album, his next releases. I will definitely, hopefully, be working with him again for more cover art, which I would be happy to bring to you all. And yeah, I'm just, again, so incredibly honored to have been able to work with him, and I hope you all enjoy my cover art as much as I enjoyed making it and working with Jeremiah to make it for you all.
Thank you so much, Jenna. If you guys enjoyed that and want to hear some more backstories, interaction about some of my other albums or other projects we do in the future, make sure you comment below and let me know all of your cool ideas. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. You can check out Jenna's Instagram page, linked right here. QR code, you can scan it and request to join her page. She's got lots of other cool artsy stuff on there, so definitely check that out. And stay tuned, because coming up very shortly around Christmas time, we've got some special Christmas tracks coming out, so you definitely don't want to miss those. So stay tuned, and we'll see you next week.